Most people think putting every purchase on their airline card is the fastest way to earn airline miles, when in fact it's one of the slowest. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly why and what to do instead. Plus, I'll share with you the only 3 exceptions where you should be using your card. Let's start off by taking the United Explorer card as our example here. It's a $150 annual fee mid-tier credit card. It has decent benefits like a free checked bag, and when you sign up, the headline says you'll earn 9x points on United flights. That sounds great, but then you see that only 3 of those 9 points come from the credit card. The other 6, well, you'd earn those anyway just by being a United member, and that's some marketing magic for you. Outside of United flights, you're earning 3x on other United purchases, 2x on dining in hotels, and just 1x everywhere else. And that 1x on everyday spending is where a big portion of your money is actually going to. And that's where money is being left on the table. Now, before moving forward, the problem here isn't having an airline card or getting one. I mean, free bags, early boarding, and seat selection are all real benefits worth keeping if you fly that airline regularly. The issue is using it as your everyday spending card, because the non-ideal earning rates that I mentioned aren't even the main issue here. The real problem is that United miles are only United miles. And that becomes an issue when you realize that the 80,000 United miles that you're spending on that business class flight to Europe, it can actually be booked for just 60,000 Air Canada miles, the exact same flight for 20,000 points less. And you can't pivot to a cheaper option because your points are stuck in United. And that's the trap or the bigger problem at play here. Airline miles are a closed system, and you're no longer able to shop around for other better deals outside of United. You're simply at the mercy of whatever United charges you. And so the solution here is earning flexible points currencies instead. For example, if you have Chase Ultimate Rewards or Built points, both of these points transfer directly to United at a 1-to-1 ratio. So you can still book those exact United flights that you were looking at if it's the cheapest option. Nothing changes there. But now you've also got options. If Air Canada has a better deal, you can transfer those points from Chase and Built to Air Canada because they're also partners with them as well. Or if a hotel partner has availability at a hotel you want to go to, you're no longer limited to just flights. You can choose to use your points for a hotel instead. So your points are working harder here because you can go wherever the best value is. And on top of that, flexible points cards tend to earn more in everyday categories. The Chase Sapphire Preferred, which costs less than United Explorer with a $95 annual fee, earns 3x on dining, online groceries, and select streaming. It also earns on 2x on general travel categories and 5x on Chase travel bookings. And that's more points on the spending you're already doing compared to the United card. And United is not the only airline where this whole scenario applies. All of the domestic airlines have a corresponding flexible points earning credit card program that you can pair off with. Here's a breakdown of what's available. For United miles, like I said, you want to earn Chase Ultimate Rewards or Built points. You'll need one of the following Chase cards, either the Chase Sapphire Preferred, the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the Ink Preferred, or the Sapphire Reserve for Business. This unlocks the Ultimate Rewards currency that allows you to transfer to airlines like United. You can then stack those cards, Chase cards that have good earning multipliers like the Freedom Flex, the Freedom Unlimited, the Ink Cash, or the Ink Unlimited. They all funnel points into the same pot with a variety of earning multipliers. Then you've got Built's newer lineup of cards, the Blue, Obsidian, and Palladium. They also have their own solid multipliers and are worth looking into. For Delta miles, you'll want to earn American Express membership rewards. You can earn these by getting the Amex Green, Gold, and Platinum cards. They have personal and business versions, and they all earn membership rewards. And these points transfer to Delta as well as a number of other airlines at a 1-to-1 ratio. You'll just want to pay attention to the order that you apply to these cards. You can learn more in the video up above. For American Airlines, you'll want to earn Citi Thank You points. You'll need either the Citi Strata Premier or the Strata Elite in order to transfer your Thank You points to American Airlines at a 1-to-1 ratio. And then you can stack those cards with other no annual fee options for more multipliers with the Citi Double Cash, the Citi Custom Cash, or the no annual fee Strata card. And then for Alaska Airlines, only Built transfers directly to Alaska Airlines here. Your options are pretty limited to Built aside from Alaska's own co-branded cards. And then for Southwest, you'll earn Chase or Built points, the same as United. For JetBlue, you'll earn either Chase, Citi, or Wells Fargo points. These programs transfer 1-to-1 to JetBlue. So the pattern is the same for each. You earn flexible points and transfer when you're ready to book. So when should you actually use your airline card? Well, there are 3 real scenarios here. Exception number one is that you're chasing a specific promotion like the Southwest Companion Pass or other companion certificates and benefits that are unlocked by spending. I think the Companion Pass, particularly, is one of the best deals in domestic travel. It's buy one flight, bring someone just for the prices of taxes for the rest of the year and the entire next year. Taxes are generally just $5.60 one way. But to earn it, you need 135,000 qualifying points, and spend on the card counts towards that threshold. Now, the most efficient path to meet this threshold is getting sign-up bonuses on Southwest credit cards because those bonuses count. And I have details on that in the video linked up above, but if you're short after the bonuses, putting spend on the card to close that gap makes sense. The same logic may apply to companion certificates on Alaska, Delta, or American, depending on how much value you can get from those. So if a spend-triggered benefit is worth more than the points that you're giving up by putting it on a flexible card, it can definitely be worth it here. And so now we'll move on to exception number two, is you're working towards airline status. Most of the time, I tell you not to bother chasing status unless you're already flying enough to get partway there organically. I don't have airline status, nor do I pursue it, but if you are in the status realm of the points world, American Airlines is typically where putting spend on the card makes the most practical sense. American Airlines uses a loyalty point system, and credit card spending counts directly towards status. And from what I hear from American Airlines loyalists, the sweet spot here is Platinum Pro, which requires 125,000 loyalty points. People tend to like it because this is the tier that gets you lounge access on oneworld partners globally, which is pretty valuable. So if you run a business with very high expenses and you're earning a surplus of points, it could make sense to grab an American Airlines business card and funnel enough spend to earn this status without even needing to take a flight. And so moving on to exception three, and that's simply if the card is genuinely the best earner for a specific category. The only airline card that I would put in this bucket is the Alaska Airlines Summit card. It earns 3x on dining and on foreign transactions. That's any purchase made outside the United States. So if you travel internationally a lot or are a remote worker, that's a great earning multiplier, and Alaska Airline miles are a solid currency, so this is a real exception here. But for most other airline cards, this third scenario typically doesn't apply, depending on what other cards you have available to you to use. So just to drive it home, when it comes to earning airline miles, you're better off earning the right flexible points instead. And if you want to learn more about earning various flexible points, you'll want to browse through this playlist here. I'm pretty sure I'll have a video that'll help you out. Or if you want to learn more about the strategy behind earning the Southwest Companion Pass, you want to check out this video here. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.